Right, welcome all to the ordinary council meeting for 15 July 2020. I'd like to call the meeting open, and we'll progress through to declarations of interest. Does any councillor have a conflict of interest that they wish to disclose at this point in time? If not, we'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is deputations and petitions. And an e-petition has been received requesting Mergen Target Country be converted to a Kmart hub store. It is the officer's recommendation that the e-petition be received and referred to the Chief Executive Officer for consideration and relevant action. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Duff. A seconder. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Does any councillor wish to speak? All those in favour? Thank you all. Resolution passed unanimously. Item 7.1, confirmation of minutes of the South Burnett Regional Council meeting. Council confirmation of minutes of meeting of the South Burnett Regional Council held in the Warren Trust Chamber, 45 Glendon Street, on Wednesday, 17 June 2020. Motion is that the minutes of the council meeting held on that date be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. We have a mover, Councillor Jones. A seconder, thank you, Councillor Henshin. Those in favour? Resolution passed. Thank you all. Item 7.2 is at page 49, South Burnett Regional Council special meeting minutes. Officer's recommendation is that the minutes of the special council meeting held on Wednesday, 1 July 2020 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Move for such. Thank you, Councillor Duff. And second, thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Next item is item 8.1. We're on the right track there. Item 8.1, which is the social and corporate performance, people and culture, communications, media, finance and ICT portfolio report. And it's my pleasure to deliver such today. So over the past month, I've been out and about in our communities conducting, as promised, the mayoral Have a Chat forums. These forums are conducted on Monday morning of each week. The forums have given me, as the mayor, the opportunity to report to the council on issues, concerns and opportunities raised by the residents at those forums, such as at Wandai, issues ranging from noxious weeds, overgrown allotments, signage, building facilities, bus shelters, stock across tick lines in Kingaroy, Coolabunnya sale yards, possibility of having an antique fair, people reporting on improvements, some pleasing reports on improvements in the roads, positive feedback on the Kingaroy CBD work being undertaken by the Parks and Gardens in tree trimming, hedge trimming and cleaning of footpaths. There's been a proposal put from a member of the community that we have a Tidy Town Week over 8 weeks across different towns, Tidy Town Weeks, during September and October, and positive feedback on the highway slashing undertaken by Council's Infrastructure Department, conversations in relation to curbside recycling, a lot of interest, of course, in the Kingaroy CBD transformation. In Nango, obviously we had feedback from customers in relation to the standpipes and the new water pricing on such, opportunities for tourism through the Nango and into the Bunya Mountains, inquiries on the possibility of having a refuge for homeless people from across the South Burnett, and good feedback on the good work undertaken at Brisbane Street with the new drainage system, and some interest in installing bike stands in the main street of the Nango. The Blackbutt Forum, issues raised in relation to, again, the increase in the standpipe water charges, concerns about obviously the amount of fuel on roads posing a fire hazard throughout the winter season, interest in developing tourism promotion of Blackbutt, including the welcoming signage into Blackbutt, beautification of the rail trail section, issues raised around some of the roads such as Ogilvie Road and Hargrade Road, acknowledging that I think Councillor Jones is well and truly across those, interest in obtaining information about the opening of the Blackbutt VIC, and interest in further development of the main street of Blackbutt in terms of beautification of the garden beds, footpaths, and the redevelopment of those footpaths. The next I've also been to Maidenwell and had some lovely people there come forward and speak about some good news stories about the number of people going through the Bunya Mountains at the moment. We're seeing a tremendous uptake of tourists travelling into that wonderful part of our region. The next mayoral forum will be held at the Cumbia Service Station Cafe on Monday, 20 July, next Monday. Soon after, I'll commence round 2 of the forums on Monday, 27 July. I've actually relocated that from the Jacaranda Tea Rooms in Proston to the Highsville Hotel to give the people of Highsville the opportunity to come along and speak with the mayor in that new round of mayoral forums. We'll be inviting. I've been inviting the divisional councillor and one of the neighbouring councillors to join us for those community conversations. Road trips in our region. This month, on Friday, 3rd of July, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Jones, and I undertook the first of our road trips, travelling through Divisions 1 and 2. Councillor Jones, as the portfolio holder, highlighted several of the roads that are planned for work, both in terms of gravel resheeting and the sealing of existing gravel roads. We were also able to view some of the work currently being or recently undertaken on roads across the divisions. I'm delighted to advise that at the end of this month, the Federal Member for Flynn, Mr Ken O'Dowd, will be visiting our region and meeting with Council. This visit will provide an opportunity for Council to continue conversations in relation to federal funding opportunities for tourism, infrastructure and economic development across our region on the back of conversations held to date with the Federal Member for Wide Bay, Mr Lou O'Brien, and the Federal Member for Maranoa, the Honourable David Littleproud. Customer contact stats snapshot for 1920. The customer contact team performed a range of duties on behalf of Council, such as processing customer inquiries, bookings, payments and requests for service. Over the past financial year, our customer contact team received 33,342 calls, with 33,201 being answered and only 141 calls being abandoned. Might sound a lot, but gee, it's a very small percentage when you look at those big numbers. This equates to a percentage answered, in fact, of 99.58%. Of the 33,201 answered calls, 26,817 of the requests were resolved during the call with Council officers. Across the 6 Council service centres of Mergen, Proston, Wondai, Kingaroy, Nanango and Blackbutt, a total of 20,018 receipts were processed. In relation to the number of Council hall bookings, the final numbers were down on last financial year, but this was to be expected with the halls unable to be used for 3 months during the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. However, despite this closure, Kingaroy Town Hall received an additional 25 bookings in 1920. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the dedicated customer contact team who are the face of our council to our community. A great effort, well done. Policy governance framework. Council is responsible for good governance of our local and regional communities. In performing this role, Council executes a range of functions, including planning and monitoring, service delivery, local lawmaking and enforcement. Council also plays an important advocacy role, representing the interests of our community in negotiations with state and federal governments and the non-government sector. As councillors, we are charged with the responsibility to comply with relevant laws and adhere to the key principles of good government: equity, transparency, integrity and accountability, to secure the confidence of the South Bennett community we serve. This term of council is committed to good governance, and as such, I am pleased to announce that council is in the final stages of the development of a policy governance framework, which will enhance the current process for the creation, management and review of council's policies and procedures. It is anticipated that the framework policy will be tabled for adoption at the ordinary meeting of council next month. People and culture. Officer and field staff collective agreement have been certified by the Queensland Industrial Relations Commission. This also resulted in both 2011 agreements being terminated, and the new agreements have a nominal expiry date of 1 January 2023. Communications and Media. In June 2020, the Media and Communications team progressed the following. And as you can see there are 29 media releases issued, ranging from the local disaster management groups' amended status in line with the relaxation of restrictions, right through to changes and reopening of council services and facilities, regular updates on the Lamb Street, Mergham, CBD, footpath, curb and channel replacement. What else have we got there? A whole range of things. So Boedo media release on the John Peterson Bridge, getting a green light. We had the free virtual worm farm and composting workshops, domestic and family violence, managing health and wellbeing. So a range of topics covered. We had media inquiries, 20 of those from in relation to the reopening of the dams, right through to the photo opportunities with the Cherbourg Mayor and councillors when they joined us, conversations in relation to standpipe water charges, and also the ABC in terms of the Burnett water feasibility study. We had, from social media perspective, we had 72 Facebook posts put up, and the most popular post was on the 16th of June, which is an expression of interest for our dam managers, which reached an audience of 27,466. South Burnett Council's South Burnett Region Facebook page ended the month with 7,664 likes and 7,903 followers. In terms of printed advertising, Council progressed 2 full-page ads at page 4 of the South Burnett Times during June, and Council progressed 1 full-page ad in the Mergham Moments for What's On at South Burnett Libraries and 1 half-page ad for the region's dams. Council progressed 1 ad in the Queensland Country Life for the sale of Rhodesgrass, and we had 1 poster designed for the FASD project. Turning to finance, this monthly report is designed to illustrate the financial performance and position of South Burnett Regional Council compared to the adopted third quarter budget. At an organisational level, for the period ended 30 June 2020, the financial report is prepared based on interim financial results as at 30 June 2020. Overall, recurrent revenue is tracking high at 101%, largely due to increases in rental income from telecommunication agreements and additional grant revenue for disaster management purposes. The end-of-year expected position is predicted to have some minor increases due to recurrent revenue, largely for private works claims for main roads and scrap steel sales. Fees and charges and rental income are tracking high at 112 and 105% due to increases in waste disposal fees, water sales, planning applications and telecommunication rental income. Interest received has landed under budget at 86%, largely due to decreases in investment interest rates in the last few months, as well as adjustments to rates interest received for land parcels sold at auction. Overall, recurrent expenditure is tracking on target at 99%. Materials and services tracking high at 102%. There are a number of adjustments which will increase both employee benefits and materials and services as a result of end-of-year adjustments. These include accruals for expenditure on wages, as well as adjustments to the long service leave and annual leave provisions. Finance costs are still tracking low at 64% due to the discount rates that we use for the gravel and landfill provisions for the end of June, ending up favourable to what was originally expected. There will be some minor increases to finance costs as a result of the end-of-year adjustments for the expected credit loss provision and the interest component of the right of use financial liability for the new leasing standard. Debtors, the 90-day balance has decreased slightly this month, while debt collection has been temporarily suspended due to the impact of COVID-19. Outstanding debts are still being monitored and followed up internally with department managers to ensure we are ready to begin collection processes again when the time arises. Rates in arrears are currently $5.468 million or 10.2%. This has again decreased since the previous month. The current monthly ratios are tracking on target, except for the operating cash ratio, which is sitting slightly above the target benchmark. It is expected that after all of the end-of-year adjustments are made, that this ratio will end up within the target range. Of the total available capital budget of $37.4 million, 88% has been spent to date, including committed costs, and road maintenance has increased approximately $420,000 from May to a total actual and committed cost of $6.351 million. Works for Queensland, Q3 has $4.678 million of actuals to date and a further $487,000 in committed costs. And I will move that my report be received by council. Thank you. Right, do we have a seconder for such? Thank you, Councillor Potter. Does anyone have any questions in relation to that portfolio report? Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question, I don't know whether it's through to you or to the CEO, but just with the process, I know that there's still people concerned about the standpipe prices, and I know at Highsville, when you meet there will be also a number of people concerned, and I know that there are some petitions, this petition in particular, I think for the Nanango standpipe. I'm just wondering what the process is for, how, I know we accept petitions, but how are they handled further down the track? How do ratepayers get something back on the agenda? Like, what's the process? I wouldn't like to think that they would be wasting their time doing a petition unless there was some purpose in it and that we were going to actually do something about it. So I'm just wondering what the process is.
Process on petitions, to the best of my knowledge, whilst several have been spoken about, we've not received any yet, so I'm expecting they'll come. Process going forward is a lawful decision of council. It's been carried by resolution. It's been enacted. If council wishes to do something different after it receives a petition, well then that would be either a new resolution or a change of report. But I would have expected the next stage we'll receive the petitions, we'll bring the petitions back for action, and then there would be an action driven from that point, whatever that may be.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Duff. Any other questions, comments in relation to my portfolio report? Councillor Shoemaker.
Just an acknowledgement of the work that's been happening in terms of that framework for governance going forward. I think that's really important, and I look forward to being a part of that over the next coming months now that the budget's out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Right, all those in favour of the motion to accept the report? Thank you all. Motion passed unanimously. Right, moving on to the next item, 8.2, which is confirming attendance at the Local Government Association Queensland's annual conference on Gold Coast, 19 to 21 October 2020. The LGAQ conference for 2020 will be held on the Gold Coast from 19 to 21 October. Council pays a conference levy in conjunction with its annual membership, and Council is therefore entitled to send 2 delegates to the conference. It's the officer's recommendation that Mayor Brett Otto and Deputy Mayor Gavin Jones attend the 2020 LGAQ conference as delegates, and that the Chief Executive Officer attend as an observer. Now, do we have a mover for such? Councillor Duff, and a second, I thank you, Councillor Potter. CEO, Mr. CEO, do any of us need to exclude ourselves from this process? No? Okay. Right. Well, does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
I think it's a great opportunity to attend the 2020 LGAQ conference, and I just would like to see the delegates bring a report back to council in terms of the outcomes and the learnings from the conference. I'd really be interested in taking a look at those.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Shoemaker. Right, Councillor Duff.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I believe we've got 2 or 3 agenda items, resolutions on which will be interesting to get a report back on those too. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all.
Mr. Mayor, just as an adjunct to that, not part of the report, they were the correspondence that have circulated to councillors. It takes some considerable time once the resolution's adopted at the conference, by the time it goes to the LGAQ executive and then to the minister in the reply. But yeah, those ones are definitely, the resolutions are a really good part of the process.
So thank you, Mr. CEO. Right, item 8.3 at 56. Right, well, before we move on, thank you, Mr. CEO. It is 12 o'clock and I do have a engagement with the media for a post-budget meeting press conference. So is everyone comfortable that we adjourn for lunch? So I'll now move procedural motion that council adjourn the meeting for lunch. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Froeloff, and all in favour, thank you. So resolution passed that we'll adjourn the meeting and we'll resume at, Mr. CEO, at 1 p.m. Good, thank you all. Meeting adjourned until then. Right, welcome everybody. Welcome back to our ordinary council meeting. And just like to move a motion that we open the meeting, recommence the meeting. Second for that, thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Do we have to have a vote? All in favour? Yes, good, thank you. Passed unanimously. We'll now move into the next item on the council agenda, which is 8.3, Council Nominate 2021 Special Holiday. And for a number of years now, Council has requested the Monday of the Brisbane exhibition to be gazetted as the show holiday for the South Burnett Regional Council area. As no information to the contrary has been received, it is suggested that Council once again request the exhibition Monday as the show holiday for the South Burnett Regional Council area. As such, it is the officer's recommendation that Council complete the online nomination form for the Monday of the 2021 Royal National Exhibition, Brisbane, Monday 9 August 2021, as the 2021 show holiday for the South Burnett Regional Council area. Do we have a mover for such? Thanks, Councillor Froeloff. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Does any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion? No? Okay. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 8.4 at 57 is adoption of the gifts and benefits policy. And the officer's recommendation is that the South Burnett Regional Council Gifts and Benefits Policy, Strategic-002, be adopted as presented. The policy is there within the agenda. Do we have a move for such? Thank you, Councillor Potter, and a seconder. Councillor Hanshin, thank you. Does any councillor wish to speak for or against? No? All in favour? Thank you all. Resolution passed unanimously. Okay, 8.5 at 64 is adoption of the Media Relations Policy, and the Local Government Act 2009 provides a regulatory framework for the adoption and enforcement of a media relations policy. Council's policies are regularly reviewed to deliver transparent, effective processes and good governance of and by local government. The officer's recommendation is that the South Burnett Regional Council Media Relation Policy, Strategic 001, be adopted. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Potter. And a second, thank you, Councillor Froeloff. And any councillor wish to speak for or against? Oh, okay. All in favour? Resolution passed. Thank you all. Moving on to item 8.6, the monthly financial report at 73. And the following information provides Council's position as at 30 June 2020. The officer's recommendation is that the monthly financial report, including capital works, road maintenance expenditure and works for Queensland, as at 30 June 2020, be received and noted. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Duff, and a seconder. Councillor Jones, a receiver. Anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Any questions, issues, concerns? If not, all those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. where are we up to now? 9.2? 9.1? Okay, 9.1. Okay, it's the portfolio report on roads and drainage, and we'll hand over to you, Councillor Jones. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and again, it gives me great pleasure to present the roads and drainage portfolio for the month of July. The works in progress and future work summary for July 2020, construction and capital works, Alfred Street car park in Kingaroy, the rehabilitation of the car park. Its preparation work is expected to start in late June, early July, so if it hasn't already started, it won't be too far away. There's been some consultation and everything taken place so far with the current councillors of the Kingaroy region and the businesses in town. The Mergen CBD footpath upgrade, Lamb Street, Mergen. The northern side of the concrete is complete, currently working on the southern side. Project expected completion end of June with final spray pave in July. Now, I've been up through Mergen and just recently, last Friday, and it's made a hell of a difference, as been mentioned in some of the comments in our presentation of the budget today, but it's certainly making a difference, and it's really tidied up the centre of Mergen and done a wonderful job, and commendations to staff and everybody else that's been involved in that project. Harley Street in Wandai, Councillor Henson mentioned that this morning, the new concrete footpath, Bunya Highway between Dan's Diner and the Greenview Road, that's completed, looks fantastic. We now have a connection between the bridge to nowhere, as I used to call it, up to the centre of town, so that's good. Maidenwell Bunya Mountains Road, the realignment at Glencliff Wengenville intersection has been completed. It's got to have a future seal on it. It's got a temporary seal on it at the moment, but it'll have another seal put on top of it. Made a hell of a difference to that, and I was just speaking to the GM prior to coming back after lunch in regards to the remainder of that road between Bunya Mountains and Maidenwell. There's about a 2.4 section that we're still lobbying, and we have a meeting with Kim Murphy from Main Roads coming up on the 23rd of July to discuss that further, and we'll continue lobbying up at Webrock for money for our roads in our region. Niagara Road, stormwater drainage repairs and upgrade, that's completed. Old Esk Road, widen and overlay and seal 2 kilometre section. The first seal coat has been completed. I just received some photographs through on my phone from very excited residents down there saying that it's been about 40 years since they moved there and they've been waiting for that to be completed. And excuse me, I'm happy to say that the first coat has been put down and looks absolutely magnificent. Stebbins Street in Kingaroy, upgrade to the bitumen seal standard. Construction crew plan to mobilise on completion of Old Esk Road. Well, I can tell you, if you drive past up there, it's the street beside Ken Mills, and that's well underway. Some of the road base and all that was put in yesterday. The curb and channel has been done, and Ken Mills is working with us, doing work internally to combine with the work outside to fix water problems and everything else. So all those construction and capital works programs are very significant and doing a wonderful job improving our infrastructure across the region. Gravel resheeting and heavy formation grade. We've got a number of roads again right across the whole region. Freibergs Road, Haynes-Kite Miller Road, Kingaroy Road at Burrendown, Regan Road and Corndale Road. They're all heavy shoulder grade and gravel resheet and shoulder grading, all that sort of combination going on through June and July. Patrol grading, we go across Abbeywood, Benair, Goodyer, Gordonbrook, Inverlour, Kingaroy, Maidenwell, right across Speedwell, Stallworth, Wengenville, Wigton, Banarkin, Blackbutt, Chelmsford, Kingaroy, Silverleaf, Taromeo, Wheatlands. That was the roadside slashing, sorry, I jumped ahead there. Roadside slashing, boom mowings, all happening down around Banarkin, North Blackbutt and those areas. Storm damage. Council has received funding approval from the Queensland Reconstruction Authority relating to storm damage occurring in February 2020 on our road network. The approved submission contained approximately 70 roads affected with a cost estimate of $3 million. Now, Mr Mayor, I touch on this all the time, and we get bashed because of because it's storm damage. If we go out and do the work immediately and fix the roads up, we can't claim any funding back through state or federal government or anything like that, and that's where our RACA system on our road network is so vital to us. We have before and after, and we can prove without any doubt the damage that the road or the rain or storms have incurred on our road network. So that is why we've taken so long to get there, and it's a $3 million cost that would have been incurred by the ratepayer if we had have responded quickly. So we need to communicate that message in particular a fair bit more to the community so that they understand, and we do get bashed a fair bit on the time that we take after storms and that, but that's the reason why. Summary of the completed works in June. Gravel resheeting, heavy formation grade, Burt Road, Benin Road, Dangor Mountain Road, Finnemoors Road, Flats Road, going to Heisville Road, Kangaroo Yard Road, Monjul Road, Monjul Crossing Road, Morgans Road, Old Ex North Road and Wilson's Road. Now, when we do our road trip into Division 5 on Friday, Mr Mayor, that'll be one of the roads I'll take you on, is the Gain to Heisville Road. It is an exceptional job. And I want to speak to Peter Dobson. I'll talk with Councillor Duff and see if we can organise an on-site meeting with Pete. He lives right up the other end on the boundary of North Burnett and South Burnett, and I'm sure he'll be very happy. Patrol grading, we go to Benair, Chelmsford, Heisville, Inverlour, Keysland, Kingaroy, Kinley-Moor, Cumbia, Maidenmoor, Mount McEwen, Yumga, Pimpinbungie, Oakenden, Proston, Speedwell, Stallworth, Tablelands, Wengenville and Wandai. Roadside slashing, boom mowing, Chelmsford, Cushney, Fairdale, Mondua and Maroondon. So as you can see again, Mr Mayor, the infrastructure crew, roads and drainage and the men and women that are responsible are right across our region doing wonderful work. And I spoke in the budget presentation this morning on the congratulations to our staff, both men and women on the ground that produce the services to our community that the community see. I'd once again like to extend a big congratulations to those people and both internally to the people that work inside. Some of the things for our budget this year, and they've been touched on this morning, our rural roads resheet program will have another $4 million spent on it. The reseal program will go to $1.7 million. Lamb Street, Mergen, stage 3. We started off as stage 1. We got to stage 2, now we're to stage 3, but it will be completed with another $500,000. Colson Street in Blackbutt, happy to say that will have a major upgrade with a lot of community consultation down there with the businesses and the community and what they want to see in Blackbutt. Kingaroy Transformation Project, $11.3 million going into Kingaroy. Bunya Highway median and roundabout landscaping, another $1 million. Nanango, as Councillor Froloff alluded to, Nanango State School pedestrian bridge, Blackbutt pedestrian bridge near the Fire Brigade and the guardrail upgrade program. That'll have about $500,000 spent across there. Other key transport projects that we have for our region, Alfred Street, First Avenue to Thorn Street, Nanango Butter Factory Park, disabled parking upgrade, the Blackbutt CBD disabled parking bays, Dingo Creek car park upgrade, Rural Road in Nanango, the missing link, will have a seal upgrade there. Williams Road, another missing link down around Banarkin, will be connected through bitumen to bitumen. Cobb Street, Mergen, curb replacement rehabilitation, Wheatland School and Mergen School safety upgrades, and the Bunya Avenue up at the Bunya Mountains footpath and parking upgrade. So, Mr Mayor, it gives me great pleasure to acknowledge all the great work in the roads and drainage portfolio that's going across the region. And yeah, we have a commitment to the community moving forward for the next 12 months with the budget we produced this morning, and my commitment to work with the council and the community to do the best we can to keep the level of service that people expect. So I'd like to move that my roads and drainage portfolio report be received for the month of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duff. Right, does anyone have any questions or comments in relation to Councillor Jones' report? Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to say that, yeah, the fantastic work on the roads. The Gain to Heisville Road, I had feedback that it's the best that they've ever seen it. So that's including the old Wandai Shire days. So that's a big wrap for our roads team. And also it's really exciting for the Mergen community to know that whole footpath project is going to be completed around the area around the hall and the video shop there. That's just going to make that whole precinct look fantastic. Just yeah, big shout out to the roads team on continuing to do a really good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Duff. I know I've sent a few reports through of the Snap, Send and Solve system on photos I've taken of still issues you come across, and absolutely incredible how quickly the team responds to that. The customer request response time is absolutely tremendous. So congratulations, Manager Aaron, and everyone involved.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I actually had a customer request and I was a bit slow off the mark. I didn't put it in until the next day, but I just wanted to clarify with the customer one thing about their address. It had already been done. So that was the next day. So, and I hadn't even submitted it, and I sort of got the credit for it, but I hadn't even submitted it. So yeah, you guys are on the job.
Thanks, General Manager. Ian?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, no, look, we're really looking forward to this year. I think it'll be a good one. It's going to be a big year of program. Again, fully pass on the credit to all of the staff within the division that do the work, from our admin team to our supervisors to our people on the ground. It's a really is a team. It's a great office to work in. I really love working in there, and because of that, we are improving with our customer service. We can always do things a little bit better, but we have a really good culture in particularly in the department to try and do that as best we can, and we do keep tabs on you, especially Councillor. So,
Thanks very much, General Manager Meehan. Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the great work that has actually started on the Alfred Street car park. I have received some inquiries from local residents who have some concerns around caravan manoeuvres, and I was really impressed with the response from the design team who are meeting with myself and Councillor Potter and those residents just next week on Monday to review those concerns and make sure they fully understand the project at hand. But I just think it's great that there is that opportunity to, if there is an issue, the staff and the infrastructure team are very helpful. They're very keen to work with the community, and I just really value their time in terms of actually reviewing some of these things to make sure we're 110% happy with the outcome. So I'd like to thank you, and I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Jones has just showed me a photo of Old Esk Road, and being a local who grew up in Blackbutt, I can say I travelled that road a lot as a kid, and it was a terrible road, and it's just so fabulous to see that, as a council, we are making progress. Step by step, we are getting there. So congratulations to the team, and thank you. I look forward to the year ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. And of course, it's important that we do acknowledge that this process was started under the previous council, and Councillor Jones with General Manager Meehan is just continuing on that great work and the commit from council. We've had our drive around. I've had my drive around with Councillor Jones through Division 1 and 2, as spoken about earlier, and it's quite his level of knowledge. Councillor Jones, is tremendous in terms of knowing what's going on, what the status of each road is, what the plan is for the further work to be undertaken on that road. So, obviously this work kind of happened without the strong relationship that's been built between our portfolio holder, Councillor Jones, and Aaron and your team. So, yeah, it's a job well done, obviously. Congratulations. Okay, well, we'll vote on receiving Councillor Jones' portfolio report. All in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, item 10.1 at 200 is the Community Arts, Heritage, Sport and Recreation portfolio report. Have I missed one? Oh, yes, indeed. Sorry, my apologies. Item 9.2 at 195 is the Sandy Creek Pioneer Estate internal street names, and the officer's recommendation is that council adopt the following road and pathway names for the Sandy Creek Pioneer Estate: Roads, Lynch Drive, Collins Court, Heiner Court and Hannaford Court. Pathways, Cripps Walk and Kirby Walk, and I hope that I've pronounced those correctly, Councillor Froloff. Do we have a mover for such? Thank you, Councillor Froloff, a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillors like to speak to the motion? Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
I'd just like to acknowledge in the report, the methodology used to actually name these roads. It's really great that they are referencing the Lynch sisters and the work they did back in our history in terms of early timber cutters. Fabulous. And same with the other walks. We're acknowledging Arthur Cribbs, who was an Australian middleweight boxing champion in the early 1900s, and Thomas Kirby, who was the headmaster at Nanango State School in the 1890s, and many of his letters and documents have survived, which gives us great insights into the school life at that time. So I just think it's a really great acknowledgement of some of the people of our region who have achieved incredible things. So I really admire the approach.
Yes, indeed. Well said. Thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. Right, all those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Right. Now, item 10.1. Councillor Potter, over to you for your portfolio report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to let everyone know that with the libraries, despite of the impact of COVID-19, the library services program during the 2019-2020 financial year, they had 98,432 physical library items were loaned. 988 new members were welcomed to the library service. There were 222 First Five Forever story time and rhyme time sessions that were held with a total of 2,074 attendees. There were 13 digital storytime sessions recorded with a total of 7,733 views. There were 6,306 physical resources were at the South Burnett Library catalogue, with an addition to 2,062 e-resources purchased. These resources were purchased using funds allocated by the State Library of Queensland Public Libraries grant of 166,300. And 2019-2020 saw a massive increase in the use of libraries' e-audio book collection. Loans increased by 69%, whilst e-book loans increased by 55%. Coming up, we have Seniors Digital Living Library Series, and this is to promote and recognise the valuable contribution of older people in our region. Seniors Week will be celebrated by South Burnett Libraries with a series of videos that highlight the hobbies, interests and achievements of seniors in our local community. The Digital Living Library Series will premiere during Seniors Week, which runs this year from the 15th to the 23rd of August. Local identities will be featured, so be sure to tune in to the library's Facebook page for that one. And those interested in telling their story as part of this project are invited to contact the Kingaroy Library. The school holidays just for kids quiz. So due to the current COVID-19 restrictions, the South Burnett Libraries decided to do something a little different for the recent June-July school holidays. Staff thought, why not take the opportunity to learn more about what our young community members enjoy reading and who are their favourite authors. To do this, staff developed a Just for Kids quiz bundle for children to collect, take home to complete and return. Each bundle included information about the free e-resources available for kids via their library membership and the Mini Beast scratch art craft. To encourage kids in the community to get involved, each return quiz acted as a draw to win a free movie pass. The overall response to the program was very positive, with close to 2,000 quiz bundles collected by our young community members during the holiday period. Aurora Montage. So in order to provide a better access to the South Burnett Libraries collection, the online public access catalogue, the OPAC, will soon be upgraded. The move to Aurora's Montage will allow library customers to search for ebooks, e-audiobooks, e-magazines, external databases and image collections at the same time as the main library collection, all from the comfort of home. So once logged in, customers can reserve or renew items, suggest items for purchase or request interlibrary loans. It is expected that this new improved OPAC will allow library customers the ability to discover resources that they may not have realised were available via their South Burnett Libraries membership. In particular, with the online resource section, this also includes link and information about researching your family history, cyber safety and online learning sites. The Council Community Grants. So this is exciting news for all the community groups out there. Through the adoption of the 2021 budget today, my fellow councillors and I will continue to support our local community groups and elite performance youth through the Community Grants Program. The first round of the program for this financial year will open on Sunday the 1st of August, closing on Monday the 31st of August. The categories open within the round will be community event sponsorship, project or program one-off sponsorship, the Regional Arts Development Fund, Community Hall Insurance Grant, Healthy Communities Sponsorship, School Student Awards, and the Community Australia Day event sponsorship. Information will be circulated through Council's media team, and we welcome and encourage as many community organisations as possible to come forward and apply under this round of community grants. Over the course of the last month, Council has been actively engaged with the arts community across the South Burnett region to continue progress conversations in relation to further development of Council's art and culture policy. It has been evident from these discussions that there is a need to develop a regional arts and culture strategy. We will be tabling this item for consideration as Council develops a new 5-year corporate plan during this financial year. Sport and Rec. COVID-19 restrictions have been lifted for sporting groups. Council's Coordinator of Recreation has been in constant contact via monthly catch-up with Sport and Recreation via Skype and has kept contact with the state sporting bodies, cricket, touch, golf, mountain biking, orienteering and soccer. Cricket Queensland, Touch Queensland and AFL Queensland are all following the state government roadmap and return to play guidelines. These guidelines will be updated again mid-July as restrictions begin to ease. All South Burnett clubs have had the opportunity to kickstart the season again through funding opportunities. Council has assisted the state's sport and rec body in providing the clubs with details on all of these funding initiatives. Council's Coordinator of Recreation has also been working over the last 4 months with Kingaroy Touch Junior Cricket and Junior Soccer to form a combined sporting body. The first official AGM will be held in July. And Kingaroy Touch is also looking to retrofit their new additional LED lighting on the junior soccer fields and is working with Council's Coordinator and Jazz Tech Lighting to finalise plans prior to lodgement and approval. The Wando Precinct expression of interest, the assessment of application has been pushed back to September. Council will be informed of any changes to this timeline, and South Burnett has been appointed a new state sport and rec advisor, which is Barbara Freeman. She has been involved with sport and rec for over 32 years, and she will be based in Bundaberg. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that my community arts, heritage, sport and rec portfolio be received. Thank you. Councillor Potter does.
Please proceed, Councillor Potter.
With regards to the Wando Precinct expression of interest, this was brought through to Council last year, where we applied for the $1 million grant for the Wando Sporting Precinct. So if people want to find out about that, they can go back through our Council meeting reports.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Right, all those in favour of accepting Councillor Potter's report? Oh, sorry, hang on. Councillor Shoemaker.
I was just going to mention how exciting it is that the community grants are open. I know there are a lot of groups that have done it tough during this period where things have been on restrictions due to COVID, and I just think it's a great opportunity. So I encourage everybody in our community to have a look at those grants and see what might be available to their local club or group. And I look forward to that combined sporting group. I hope to attend the AGM later in July. That sounds great.
Thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. Right, all in favour, accepting the report? Thank you very much. Passed unanimously. Right, on to item 11.1, Rural Services, Natural Resource Management, Planning and Compliance Services Portfolio Report. Thank you, Councillor Henson.
Oh. Sorry.
You confused me, Councillor Duff.
I'm getting excited.
I was looking to Councillor Henson. Thank you, Councillor Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, although Kathy, here it is. Thank you. I'd like to bring the Rural Services Natural Resource Management Planning and Compliance Portfolio Report to you for the month of June. In the Rural Services Natural Resource Management Weed Control section, pest management contractors and staff treated 11 hectares of restricted and environmental weeds in June, including lantana in the Hodgesley, Wando, Kingaroy and Eastern Ango areas, giant rat's tail grass in the Hivesville, Braguda, Bullcamp, Maidenwell and Wando areas, and mother of millions in the Stonelands, Belogie, Taromio and Wando areas. In the wild dog and feral pig control, a total of 44 landowners were supplied with 1,512 wild dog baits and distributed 430 baits to manage feral pigs. Council supplied baits for 101 lot on plans in June in the 1080 baiting program. In the rabbit control, calicivirus was distributed to 3 landowners to reduce rabbit populations. Wandering livestock, Council received 15 requests to attend wandering livestock across the region. There were no stock impounded in the month of June. I might add that's probably because of some great communication skills with neighbours and that to eradicate that from going any further. On the stock route grazing permits, no roadside adjustments applications were received during June. We may see that change in the upcoming months with our current weather conditions. And that has been encouraged, I might add, previously in previous council meetings. Fire management, there were no prescribed burns that were undertaken in June. In our sale yard staff inspected 2,484 and processed 2,662 through the dip in June. A total of 1,672 head were sold through the Coonabarabran sale yards for a total of $1,854,436.16. In our planning section, planning and COVID-19, the Minister for Planning has extended the COVID-19 emergency applicable event to the 31st of October 2020. This means that the shops and warehouses that support the supply of essential service can continue their 24-hour operations, 7 days a week, and deliver vital goods and services to the communities. The Planning Regulation 2017 has also been amended to provide temporary arrangements for public notification of development application during the COVID-19 event. Effective 26th of June 2020 until the 31st of December 2020, new arrangements replace the newspaper notice publication requirements in Section 17 of the Development Assessment Rules, DA rules. For any public notification not yet commenced, the following applies. The planning regulation, if there is a hard copy local newspaper circulating in the locality, then a notice must be published in the hard copy local newspaper. If there is only an online local newspaper and no hard copy local newspaper, then a notice must be published in the online local newspaper. Where there is no local newspaper in the locality, any of the following may be used. Publish a notice in a statewide or nationwide newspaper, hard copy or online. Publish a notice on Council's website, or give a notice to surrounding residents within an agreed area. A local newspaper means a newspaper that primarily publishes news in relation to the locality or a region that includes the locality and is intended for a local or regional rather than statewide or nationwide readership, and contains a section for the publication of notices for members of the public. With the closure of some local newspapers in regional areas, it is foreseen that these arrangements may be adopted as a permanent part of the DA rules. And might I add, I think there's a great anticipation for our new paper that's going to be out shortly in South Burnett today. We look forward to that. In our compliance services, dog and cat desexing initiative, a reminder to all South Burnett dog and cat owners, don't forget that the RSPCA's annual desexing initiative, known as Operation Wanted, is presently running. With this, there is a 20% discount on normal desexing prices at participating vets. So don't leave it to the last minute to get a saving. The program concludes on the 31st of August 2020. For more information on how to find your local participating vets, go to www.operationwanted.com.au. I highly recommend that because we know how to control unwanted pets. COVID-19 and food establishments. Many food premises have now been able to partially open their indoor dining areas with strict restrictions concerning the total number of patrons that can be seated at any one time. The majority of food businesses are complying with the Health Directive requirements, and council staff continue to work with food businesses to help them understand the restrictions start to be relaxed. So with that, I'd like to move that my Rural Services, Natural Resource Management, Planning and Compliance Services portfolio be moved to be accepted. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hensham. You have a second for that? Yeah, thank you, Councillor Froloff. And an excellent report. Obviously, a lot happening in your portfolio area. Right. Yeah.
Mr Mayor, could I just add on finalising that In the next month, I will have some pretty exciting news, or not exciting news, but some more news in relation to what's been tabled before in what was previously spoke about, some corellas that we were having problems with. I'm in talks with people in departments with that. And in the wild dog section, I hope to next month come back with some pretty interesting news on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Right, Councillor Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Congratulations on a great report there, Councillor Buck Henson. Well done. And he does a great job. Can I just put a suggestion forward in regards to the stock route and roadside grazing? As we all know that the state government will not relinquish at this stage their fee per head, per beast for the rural people to graze their stock on the road. No one understands the importance of every dollar that this council has to spend or how we spend it. We have a opportunity moving forward in regards to the lucerne or the grass, the rose grass or whatever, the crops that we're providing with the recycled water out of our sewage treatment plant out here at Kingaroy. And I know that money is certainly earmarked, and rightly so, to go back into the infrastructure costs and maintaining water, sewage and all that sort of stuff. But I'd like to have an open mind in regards to moving forward, whether or not we could take a small portion of that money raised from the sale of that the fodder and put it away into a separate account or something like that. And I'm only talking maybe $10,000, $5,000, $10,000 every time we sell that. Now, I don't know whether this is possible, but just in regards to helping the rural people, and we may be able to compensate towards that state levy on the roadside grazing, because not only does it help the farmer, it helps us as a council with the amount of fuel on the sides of the roads and all that, and it keeps the place looking a lot tidier. So I just wanted to put that on the table as a maybe a consideration, and I'm happy to be corrected and told, no, you can't do that, but just a possible plan going forward in regards to helping out the rural people.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Jones. That's obviously something that I guess Mr CEO Council can take into consideration.
Sorry, yep, certainly on notice. It would be its own report, but the councillor is right, that money offsets the sewage works. So there would be a fair bit of chat about that, I would think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Mr
Councillor
Mayor,
Henson.
could
Yes,
I respond to
thank
that?
you.
I think possibly a great incentive, and I think, as mentioned in my portfolio report, I think in the oncoming months with the seasonal conditions we're getting, there's going to be quite an increase in influx in permits to graze roadsides. I think because there has been no burns registered for the month of June. The last thing we want to see is a fire or a bushfire. I think we've got to look across many areas here as to the benefits of what can be done with roadside grazing. If we can somehow offset the cost of that to rural producers, I know I've been asked and spoke to in relation to that. There is a cost, as I mentioned earlier, and I have incurred that cost myself because I've had cattle on the road previously before under the permit system. So it'd be a great initiative. I think we can follow that up if we can in some shape or form. And it certainly, it works wonders for fuel load on the side of the roads. And it would be a great benefit to our rural community that we can't see at the moment any relief with this drought that we not only in, but it's continuing to get worse.
Thank you, Councillor Henson. Councillor Duff.
I think it's a fantastic idea, but I heard what the CEO said about it being used for some other type of funding, but whether we could look at it something through we've got that drought money, whether we can do something with that to offset the cost. I think it's probably a conversation for a workshop, but I definitely would love to see us be able to waive that fee. I know we waive our section, but it'd be great to be able to waive that state government section. And it's going to be, even if these guys are successful at the conference, it's still a long process to get the legislation changed, but we're in drought now, so it would be great if we could do something sooner rather than later. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Right, Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you. I agree. I think that's a great initiative and a good opportunity for us to workshop that and have a think about how we could go about it. It could make some real difference here in our community. I just wanted to comment, I'm really glad to hear that there's some things happening in the background around those corellas. I am really concerned. There's been quite a lot of Facebook chat around koalas in the area. I nearly said koala bear. Koalas in the area who have been run over by traffic on the roads, and I've had a good look around Kingaroy in particular, and I think the corellas are stripping a lot of the gum leaves out of the trees around places where koalas live, and I do think it seems like they are on the move. So I think if we can do something in respect to those corellas and save some of these gum trees around the place, it might actually have an on-flow effect in terms of stopping those koalas from moving around Kingaroy. Anyway, that's what I know, and I am worried about that. I know we've all put requests forward to see some signage put up in the area, and we'll be following that closely.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Schumacher. Right, well, all in favour of accepting report from Councillor Henson? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you all. Right, now, portfolio report for local disaster management, water, wastewater and waste management. Thank you very much, Councillor Froloff.
Thank you, Mayor. And that works in progress and future work summary for June, July 2020. The current water main replacements are as follows: Nanango, Wickham Street, Will Street West, George Street North, Alfred Street and Drayton Street. They've all been completed. Rurulan, West Rurulan Road, has also been completed. Kingaroy, we have Burnett, Haley to Alfred, West Haley to Catellan and Knight, Walter to Hodge, also being completed. Youngman, Haley to Avoca, Youngman, Benman to Banksia and Toomey, Youngman to William have also been completed. They're well and truly on ahead of their goals, my water guys. And the regional council is progressing well with the replacement of 1,800 water metres, and we've currently done 1,711. Restriction and dam levels. In the last reporting period, BP Dam is at 17.4% and Madooma Dam at 35.9%. Council will continue with seeking alternative water supplies with drought conditions continuing throughout the South Burnett area, and Council is monitoring the water restriction levels, and all towns still remain on level 3 restrictions at this time. The other two dams levels are Gordonbrook Dam is at 57.6% and Boo Bear Dam is at 21%. So we're in desperate need of rain soon. And waste management, COVID-19 and the state waste levy. The state government has now formally advised that they will delay the scheduled $5 increase to the state waste levy for the first half of 2020-2021 financial year because of the impact of COVID-19. But from January the 1st, 2021, the state waste levy will increase to $80 per tonne. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the general managers in my area and the managers and their fantastic team for all the hard work and dedication that you guys have shown throughout the year to get all this work up and going. Thank you. I'd like my report to be accepted by council.
Yes, thank you very much, Councillor Froloff. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Potter. Does anyone have any questions or comments in relation to Councillor Froloff's report? Clearly a lot of great work being done there.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I just want to sort of re-endorse what Councillor Froloff just said. She has the portfolio there for the water, wastewater and waste management, and this council has a serious spend coming in this particular portfolio. There's some massive work needs to be undertaken here, and it was touched on this morning again. And I'd just like to congratulate Councillor Froloff and all her staff that she works with in the water and wastewater, because roads was an issue and people see roads. Water and wastewater is a massive issue that people don't see under the ground, and we're aware of it, and the people of the general public and our constituents need to be aware that there is massive spendings needed to be done on this infrastructure in the coming years. So congratulations to Councillor Froloff and her team. So thank you.
Well, Councillor Duff, the Rural Resilience, Parks and Gardens, Property and Facility Management, and Indigenous Arts Portfolio Report. You've been waiting patiently. Well, here's your turn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm having computer problems is my issue. I can't see what's coming up. So I just saw rural and jumped up because I'm rural resilience. So I'm happy to present my report. The first item is rural resilience. So I'm excited that the federal government drought funding allocation towards rural resilience is soon to be rolled out. We're working in partnership with BIEDO to deliver some of the projects. There will be drought dinners and other activities in our small halls as well as an officer on the ground working one-on-one with farmers. One of the key outcomes will be a drought resilience plan for our whole region. In parks, Kingaroy, Mergen, Wondai, Proston, Nanengo, Blackbutt and all surrounding areas. Kingaroy, Mulcahy Place Gardens have received a well overdue tidy up and revamp. Trees have been lopped, irrigation system has been repaired and timer fitted. A replacement alloy seat for the front area has been installed and the bin has been relocated to a better location to service this area. In Apex Park, the Lookout and Carroll Reserve, the main walking track has been cleared and all debris and loose rock has been removed and red soil levelled. Park staff have added some natural steps to create a firm level area to walk, which is now 3/4 completed. A hidden retaining wall has been installed into the embankment to stabilise this area, and some simple, cost-effective, hardy planting will be added to eliminate erosion. Bollards will be installed at entrance seating. Sign and plaque will be refurbished and reinstalled in July this month. Red chairs. Blackbutt and Cumbia have now joined Proston, Mergen, Wondai, Kingaroy and Nanengo with the installation of red chairs at Les Muller Park and the Cumbia Hall. Cemeteries. Tobinga, Wondai and Mergen lawn cemeteries continue to receive much needed top dressing. Watering is continuing twice weekly. Graves are being topped up and are starting to level out nicely. Work in the monumental sections of the cemeteries will begin towards the end of July and completed in late August. General work. Tree lopping, garden bed preparations and irrigation installing is continuing across the region. Park staff are continuing to undertake duties as requested in response to the federal state government direction with COVID-19. Currently, all playgrounds, skate parks and open park space, including 48-hour stopovers, are reopened as per Queensland State Government Roadmap to Easing Restrictions Stage 3. Council has updated signage in all these areas to ensure a consistent message is received within our community. The message is stay at home if you're unwell, avoid touching your face, nose and mouth, stay 1.5 metres away from people who are coughing or sneezing, cover coughs and sneezes, wash hands regularly, maximum gatherings of up to 100 people. Then we're on to the rail trail. Slashing has begun along the rail trail and anticipated to be completed middle of July. Public conveniences since the closure of Huey 2, Glennon Street and O'Neill Square public amenities on the 12th of June 2020. There has been no reports of any vandalism, etc. to date. Capital Works, 40 new power heads have been installed and connected to water and power at Yellowkill Park on BP Dam, just in time for the reopening of the park. Dams. Grass seeding has been completed on the powered tiered terrace at Lake Binduma and watering is continuing prior to the reopening of the dam. This area has responded well and is looking lush and green. Currently, Binduma and BP dams are open for day use only from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Council is excited to announce that both dams will reopen to the public on the 1st of August. Guests will be able to start booking online from the 20th of July in time for the Eka long weekend. To help celebrate the opening, Council's Festival of the Dams fishing competition will run on the 15th and 16th of August, conducted by Fishing Freshwater. Property and Facility Management. The contractor Total Pool Renovations has completed the installation of the water filtration system at the Wondai swimming pool and the solar heating systems at both Wondai and Mergen swimming pools. Contractors and council have completed all maintenance projects at the South Burnett Aquatic Centre, allowing the leasee to reopen to the public on Tuesday, the 16th of June for pool, lap and hydrotherapy use by bookings only. The restrictions on the number of people allowed to swim in an indoor facility has been provided by the recent health directives. Wandai Archive Facility has had new compactor shelving installed to store council permanent building and planning files, engineering plans and corporate records. The files will now be manually moved into the storage shelving and managed by council's records section. Council has vacated the old SES Donga building, ready for the building to be relocated to the Nanango Men's Shed site. Badooma Homestead is open for business during the school holidays. The Badooma Homestead Committee have been successful in drilling for bore water to secure water for ongoing supply to the homestead gardens and amenities. The committee will be making submissions for grant money to assist with equipping the bore with a solar pump. Badooma Homestead are working with council in designing a new entrance sign to promote the homestead heritage displays and cabin accommodation. Council has called for quotations for the supply and servicing of sanitary bins across council's facilities. Council has called for the tender of property management services for Nanango housing and unit complexes. The tenders closed Monday the 20th of July via LG tender box. Ongoing lease inquiries, survey of lease areas and negotiation of lease conditions have continued during June for community groups and commercial operators. And in Indigenous Affairs, the Mayor, Councillor Potter and I met last month with the Southburn Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander group. We're working with them on some future plans for their organisation. The art exhibition at the Wandai Gallery on Saturday was opened by Cherbourg Mayor Elvie Sandow and our Deputy Mayor Gavin Jones. The gallery was filled with a magnificent display of Indigenous art done by the late Vincent Sirico, who grew up at Cherbourg. He has depicted his life through a paintbrush, and the images are very real. The paintings are a diverse range from growing up at Cherbourg, life on rural stations such as the famous Hornet Bank Station, and one painting, although not named, very obviously included the famous Indigenous boxer Geoffrey Denver. It was great to also have Councillor Scott Henshin and Councillor Janita Potter attend the exhibition that I think was a fitting end to what was traditionally NAIDOC Week. This year, due to COVID-19, NAIDOC Week will be officially celebrated in November. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'd like to move my report.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Duff. We have a seconder for that. Thanks, Councillor Henshin. Does anyone have any questions or comments in relation to Councillor Duff's report? Thanks, Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I just want to, give the Wandai Art Gallery a big plug here and encourage everybody to get down there and have a look at this, exhibition of art from Vincent. And he tells a very, very true and real story of his life experiences through his artwork. And all I want to do is encourage everybody in the South Burnett to go to the Wandai Art Gallery and check out this exhibition. It is fantastic.
Thanks very much, Councillor Jones. Councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge the work that's been done in Kingaroy Markai Place here in the main street. It looks fabulous. Such a neat and beautiful spot, and it's great to see so many people in our town actually stop and have their lunch and spend time in the area. So thank you to the team. It's really great. I also just want to acknowledge the Bunya Valley Land Care Group. Spent some time with the president, Susan, and one of their volunteers, Angela, yesterday, just up in the Carroll Park Reserve. And I encourage everybody in our community, if you are in Kingaroy, to go in and have a look. It really is such a special place. And I'd just like to acknowledge the work of those volunteers. There are other residents in the area who are working hard to maintain the cat's claw to actually remove the cat's claw creeper in the area. And it was great to spend a couple of hours with them yesterday digging some of those out. So just really recommend everybody go and have a look at that fabulous asset that our community has right on their doorstep.
Yes, thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on Councillor Duff's portfolio report. That was a very good one. And yes, with regards to the Wandai Art Gallery, it's amazing work and you've actually got to go and see it to believe it. But I'd just like to comment on, as Councillor Shoemaker said, Marquay Park, because Councillor Shoemaker and I went there the other day and it's absolutely beautiful. I don't think we wanted to leave there. It was so nice. And with regards to the red chairs that we have around the towns, I just want people to know that this was done for the Red Rose Foundation and it's for the domestic violence and people we've lost through domestic violence. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yes, very important points there. Thanks very much, Councillor Potter. Right, all in favour of acceptance of Councillor Duff's report? Passed unanimously. Thank you all. Okay. Right, item 13.2 at 204 is the offer of lease to South Bennett Jam and Fossicking Club Incorporated for the Wandai Railway Station building. And officer's recommendation is that in accordance with section 236 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council enter into a lease with the South Bennett Jam and Fossicking Club Incorporated for the railway station building behind part of Lot 18 on SP 276840 at 30 Haley Street, Wandai. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Duff, and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor Potter. Right, councillors wishing to speak to the motion. Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I think this is really good. It's, as I said before, when community groups take over council assets, they sometimes, they do a better job than we do because they can apply for grants and things like that. So looking forward to seeing the South Bennett Jam and Fossicking Club take over that railway station building, and I'm sure it will be looked after very well under their care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, the South Bennett Jam and Fossicking Club have been looking for a home for many years now since they first started up. And it's really great to see that they've actually found a home, a place that they can call their own. And what a great place also to be is on the rail trail just up from the art gallery. I think this is a perfect fit for everyone.
Thanks, Councillor Potter. Right, put it to the vote. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Item 13.3 at 210, offer of licence to Baramba Beekeepers Incorporated for the shed located at Pound Street, Kingaroy. The officer's recommendation is that in accordance with section 236 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council enter into a licence with the Baramba Beekeepers Incorporated for the shed at Pound Street, Kingaroy, part of Lot 87 on RP 7952 for $75 per annum plus GST for 12 months with an option to renew annually for a further 4 years. Do we have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Potter. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillors wishing to speak for or against the motion? Thank you, Councillor Potter.
The South Bennett Beekeepers took over this shed be just over a year ago, I think, if I remember GMMA, yeah, since they've taken over that shed, they have cleaned it out because it was a mess. They have cleaned out all the rubbish in the shed. They've gotten rid of all the vermin that were living in the shed, and they've cleaned it up and they've made it look to a beautiful place. And it's really nice to see that someone has taken something of ours and made it look better than what we could have.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillor Shoemaker?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I agree with Councillor Potter's comments. It's great to see the community take ownership of this site. Particularly, I think it's really a great location in Kingaroy. I just want to confirm the lease arrangements because I'm mindful of the Pound Street block that is yet to be discussed in this term of council anyway. So I was just making sure. I think I read that it's just a short-term lease, and if anything should happen with that land, we would look to find another location or something of similar nature. I just want to confirm that's correct.
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, that's correct. This is proposed to be just a 12-month lease with the option to renew it year on year for that reason. So if there was a interest in the Pound Street block that didn't complement this, then yeah, they weren't locked into a lease for a long period of time. So that's the reason for the 12 months.
Oh, thank you, General Manager Omay. Okay, right. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. The next item is 13.4, lease between South Bennett Regional Council and Anango Theatre Company Incorporated. And it's the officer's recommendation that in accordance with section 236 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council enter into a trustee lease with the Nango Theatre Company Incorporated over part of Lot 346 on SP 313160 at corner Elk and George Streets, Nango, for $75 plus GST per annum for a term of 10 years. Do we have a mover for such? Thank you, Councillor Fryloff. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Potter. And does any councillor wish to speak for or against the motion?
I just
Thank you, councillor Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to check, so we say a trustee lease, is this a different arrangement?
Through you, Mr Mayor, the trustee lease, because this is a state government reserve and we'll be the trustees for it, then we've got to, it's just a form of the lease, so it'll be a trustee lease because we're trustees of the block for the state and we're leasing it on to the person. So as opposed to if we were owned a block freehold, we'd be leasing it on just as a normal lease. It's a trustee lease as we're the trustee of the site.
Right, thank you, General Manager O'May. Okay, the motion is that council enter into that lease. All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 13.5, 219, relocation of the old Kingaroy Hospital canteen to site of Kingaroy and District Vintage Machinery Club Incorporated at Kingaroy Airport. It is the officer's recommendation that council approve the Kingaroy and District Vintage Machinery Club Incorporated's request for the club to relocate the Kingaroy Hospital canteen building to their leased premises at the Kingaroy Aerodrome at no cost to council. Do we have a mover for such? Thank you, councillor Duff. Seconder, thank you, councillor Potter. Do we have any comments? Anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? Councillor Shoemaker, thank you.
Just that Councillor Potter and I did go and have a look at the building and meet with the group, and you know, I think the building is in really good condition. It's a really good outcome to actually see something that was actually fundraised, you know, that canteen building. It's my understanding that our local community actually fundraised for the construction of that building and have maintained it over a long time. So I just think it's a really great outcome for the Kingaroy and District Vintage Machinery Club to be able to take on that building. It is in really good condition, and I think it will complement the activities that are currently at the Vintage Machinery Club's locality here at the aerodrome. So I'm fully supportive of the request, and the fact that in a very short period of time, both the Kingaroy and District Vintage Machinery Club and Queensland Health and the Kingaroy Allison Hospital Auxiliary Committee have worked really hard behind the scenes to try and follow council's process in achieving this in a very short turnaround. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Duff.
Yeah, I just wanted to support this, and I just wanted to flag the fact that the Kingaroy and District Vintage Machinery Club hosted Blaze Aid when we had the last disaster, like the Boxing Day, all the storms and things around Coolangatta, and we got Blaze Aid in, and Blaze Aid said that damage around Coolangatta was the worst that they'd seen, and the Vintage Machinery Club provided that whole building there free of charge, and the community went in and out catering for Blaze Aid, but that went on it would have been the best part of a month. So they're a fantastic group, and so it's great that we can support them in this way.
Thank you, councillor Duff. Right, all those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 13.6 is the disposable asset shed for removal, 6 McAllister Street, Mergen. Council owns a timber-framed weatherboard shed at the old Mergen depot. Mergen Council's asset condition assessment identified that the shed is in poor condition and should be demolished. The shed will be offered for removal to the public by way of tender. The officer's recommendation is that council dispose of the shed, a valuable non-current asset located at 41 McAllister Street, Mergen, in accordance with section 227 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 by way of tender for removal. Do we have a mover for such? Thank you, councillor Shoemaker. Seconder, thank you, councillor Froloff. Does any councillor wish to speak for or against? Thank you, councillor Shoemaker.
Mr Mayor, I just wanted to make the point that today we've spoke a lot about assets and the heavy depreciation that sits on our books, and I just think that this is a great example of an asset that potentially council doesn't need, and that it can be removed, and I think these are the kinds of things that we need to look at into the future. What are really the purpose of some of these old assets that we've inherited through the amalgamation? And so I think this is a really great outcome, and I'm fully supportive of this request.
Thanks, councillor Shoemaker. Right, all those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 13.7, change to 2021 fees and charges, Boondooma Dam and Majalki Peterson Dam recreational parks. Officer's recommendation is that the council approve the proposed fees and charges for accommodation at Boondooma Dam and Majalki Peterson Dam, Majalki Peterson Recreation Park, as stated in the table in the agenda. Do we have a mover for such? Thank you, Councillor Duff. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Jones. Right. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the motion? All those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. We're on to item 14.1 now, which is the portfolio report for economic development. Thank you, Councillor Schumacher.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to present this month's Economic Development Portfolio Report. In my view, at the heart of Council's role in economic development is our desire for every business in the region to be sustainable, to grow, innovate and prosper into the future. In my short 3 months here, I've been at the table with 4 significant businesses who are all looking at promising opportunities to grow and essentially employ more people. These are businesses that have a vision. They have a plan and they're getting on with making it happen. It is my view as a council, we need to do all that we can to support this growth by understanding the barriers they face and doing what we can to remove any unnecessary red tape. I know that this is a discussion that this council is keen to unpack and work together to find the solutions. In my short 3 months, I see it equally as important that we as a region shift our thinking beyond all of the reasons why something wouldn't work. And following the footsteps of these businesses who are not waiting for government or council to come up with a solution. Instead, they're taking that leap of faith with the courage and determination to put in the hard work needed to see their vision become a reality. In my view, that is what our region must do. We must come together to develop a vision that is owned and driven by us, the people of the South Burnett. Over this past month, I've met with many local business people and residents to seek their ideas. I've had conversations in the street, over kitchen tables in local cafes, Zoom meetings and in Woolworths, to name a few places. I'd like to thank everyone who continue to share their thoughts and what they consider to be the priorities for economic development here in the South Burnett, now and into the future. I'd like to reflect and share with you some of the risks and opportunities that have been put to me for further discussion with you, my fellow council colleagues and the broader community. Priority 1, to stop the flow of businesses, tradies, young families and professionals from leaving the region and instead do what we can to understand what would sustain their lives here. I personally love my life here. I love raising my children in a place that shares in our rich country lifestyle, one that means I can afford a home, I can experience wide open spaces, I can purchase farm fresh produce, my children can enjoy a quality education, and I myself have experienced many diverse employment opportunities that would not perhaps be available to me anywhere else. However, just this month I was saddened to hear from a family, both parents with good jobs and young children who came here with the intention to buy a home and settle. After living here for a while, they've since changed their minds and are thinking Kingaroy may not be the place that they would like to invest in. When I asked why, I learned it really comes down to the way our town looks and feels. For this young family to stay, it comes down to the way they live and the lifestyle they desire. In my view, these are the key ingredients to population growth. Evidently, the way our town feels really matters. I know many young people who have moved to the area for work and decided to live in Nanango because they've driven through the town and love the way it feels. They can see themselves and the family dog living there. In my view, that's what we need to create here in the centre of the South Burnett, Kingaroy. Something that entrepreneur and businessman Josh Jajiski framed as creating a community of choice. I've been sharing some of these ideas with my fellow colleagues, and I know Councillor Duff's work with Parks and Gardens portfolio and Councillor Potter's work with the Communities portfolio is largely focused on our residents' quality of life. I look forward to our community and corporate plans, which will help solidify some of these things. However, clearly to be effective in our planning and in bringing our vision to life, it's my view we must work hand in hand with our community and have all stakeholders at the table. Priority 2, Kingaroy looks tired and we need to bring some pride back to our regional centre. As a member of the Kingaroy Chamber of Commerce Executive, I'm pleased to report the Chamber has been at the table with council officers and the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and is looking at ways to partner with local businesses to revive local shop fronts and be part of setting up Kingaroy CBD up for future trade opportunities. I also welcome the new restaurants who are currently establishing themselves on Kingaroy Street. I've been thinking about the opportunities to create a weekend food precinct culture here in the heart of town. The concept of being able to offer street dining is something that has already many people thinking about how they too can grow their business or offer alternative services as part of the Kingaroy Transformation Project. Councillor Potter and I are looking forward to being part of the steering group for the Transformation Project, and I'm pleased to report a positive vibe and eagerness to get started around town. It's important for our community to understand this project is so much more than trees and street furniture. It's a project that will revive our town and replace the cancerous underground infrastructure and pavement in the CBD. I know Council has been working behind the scenes to finalise the funding and project arrangements, and that together we will be talking with all businesses about the project very soon. Priority 3, grow industry and empower agriculture to look to opportunities to value add. I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of Mayor Keith Campbell, who during his previous term of council has advocated for improved water security across our region with a vision for what could be achieved if we could just add water. It's a great privilege to continue his work as the portfolio holder for economic development, agriculture, tourism and water security. I'm pleased to report this month the release of the North and South Burnett Strategic Business Case funded by the National Water Infrastructure Development Fund, which can now be downloaded from Council's website. As an immediate outcome from this study, Council aims to continue the study with key government stakeholders, industry and the community to develop an economic roadmap that looks ahead to the year 2045. This study has clearly helped our region to evidence a core problem to our ability to grow, the lack of reliable and secure water, and furthermore articulate how we can go about fixing the problem. This economic roadmap will support our region to seize every opportunity to action the short list of water projects identified in the study both now and into the medium and long-term future. As respected local businessman and philanthropist Ken Mills said to me at last week's community meeting, this water study has taken us from the floor and put us in the driver's seat. I agree and recognise it's now time for our region to take hold of the steering wheel and together look to create the future we seek for our children and our grandchildren. As detailed in the strategic business case, there's an estimated 17 years of operation left at Toronto Power Stations and Meandu Mine. During this time, water security is critical to the generation of electricity for the people of Queensland. It is my understanding the uncertainty of energy policy and the increase in renewable energy projects are issues that will dictate Toronto's place in the energy market of the future. Without careful planning and consideration, I fear the impacts of its eventual closure here in our region will be devastating. I welcome the opportunity to partner with key stakeholders, including Stanwell, and to work together to create an economic roadmap that considers the potential changes to Toronto's water requirements and long-term operations and helps our region to prepare its economy for an eventual coal transition. The water study has highlighted that we have more fertile land than there is water to irrigate. While further studies are required to fully understand the extent of soil availability in our region, existing reports determine there are some 3,795 hectares of highly productive Class 1 soil around Kingaroy, as well as another 245,819 hectares of Class 2 soil and 87,971 hectares of Class 3 soil that spans the region, with large stretches that run along the west of Barker and Barrampa Creeks. Approximately 1/4 of South Burnett's current cropping relates to high-value fruit, vegetables and nuts, with most of the agricultural production relating to livestock. We have the soil for diverse high-value crops, however, unreliable water allocations will continue to impact agricultural outputs, coupled with the highly irregular rainfall that stifles job creation and investment. Currently, the agriculture sector employs 12% of workers here in the South Burnett. I ask, just imagine what could be achieved and how many people could be employed if we could support the agricultural sector with reliable water. We have the right ingredients to make this happen. To increase production to maximise our ideal geographical location and access to markets never before reached. We could export larger commodities, we could tap into more Asian markets, and we could optimise value adds like food processing and manufacturing. This economic roadmap will help us as a region to stand together and determine how. As detailed in the strategic business case, urban water security is also of great concern. The residents of our region have been on water restrictions since 2017, and this is unlikely to change without significant rainfall and improved capacity to supply potable water to our towns, but in particular Kingaroy, Proston and Blackbutt, who rely on Bundoomba Dam. While Kingaroy has the benefit of Gordon Brook Dam to supplement and prolong the water it takes from Bundoomba Dam for urban use, the study concludes once Gordon Brook falls below 50% storage capacity, it becomes almost unusable due to water quality. This has raised the question what could be achieved if Gordon Brook could instead be converted for agricultural use and our towns could secure more water allocations. This solution is not without significant complexities, hence the importance of further work that will occur in the development of the economic roadmap. Of great concern is Swicker's inability to expand its operation in our region without additional water, evidenced by the strategic business case. In meeting with General Manager Lincoln Hawkes, I know his team has put considerable effort and funding into developing a detailed scope to build a reverse osmosis plant at Swicker's and help find water efficiencies, recycling water wherever possible. Swicker's is our largest employer in the region, and I know my fellow councillors would hate to see the next expansion of Swicker's occur outside of our region. Sadly, this is the current reality for the South Burnett. Councillors, council officers and key stakeholders will be meeting at Swicker's later this month. This project is shovel ready, and I know this council is passionate about doing what it can to lobby for funding and support to see this project come to fruition. It is my view what is most important is that we continue the many discussions that need to occur that ensure this strategic business case is not put on a shelf. It is actioned. The Barlow Weir is a strong project on the options shortlist, and I've made arrangements for councillors and officers to meet with the Baramba Irrigator Advisory Committee later this week to visit the site and discuss the next steps. As part of the NWIDF funding, Jacobs will be directly working with the committee and Sunwater to complete a practical assessment that will confirm the viability and affordability of the Barlow Weir. This assessment will determine Sunwater's support for the project and willingness to oversee the construction and management of the asset. This assessment will also include a determination of the practical affordability of Barlow Weir through clear expressions of interest from water users. This project, although a small storage of 1,000 megalitres, has the capacity to yield 3,000 megalitres. Every drop of water counts. And I personally am a supporter of this project and am passionate about seeing it come to fruition. I can also report picking season has begun in Blackbutt, and I'll be meeting with avocado growers over this next month to understand their operations and the challenges they face due to the limitations of available water allocation from the Bundoomba pipeline. My understanding, the acquisition of water for Blackbutt irrigators will have 2 phases, assessment and commercial execution. Following on from the strategic business case, one will be funded through the remaining NWIDF funding and involves commissioning a high-level assessment of actual demand and willingness to pay and the preparation of a short business case outlining the economic benefits, including employment and growth for the entire region. Further work will be undertaken to deliver an assessment on Gordon Brook Dam to provide a targeted short-term business case that assesses the viability of both urban and irrigation future uses for the dam and outlines the economic benefits. In closing, I'd like to recognise CEO Mark Pitt, General Manager for Infrastructure Aaron Meehan, and Project Manager Jed Brennan for your leadership in supporting Council and the South Burnett to reach this position. I'd also like to acknowledge the valuable contributions of local water users who have come forward and provided their insights, Christy Fram from Baido for their continued support in making this happen, and the members of the Project Steering Committee. This study has built a solid case that will enable this region to lobby and advocate for further government support, collaboration and funding. It's been a pleasure to be involved in this project, and I look forward to the months ahead. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that my report be accepted.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duff. Any councillors have any questions or comments in relation to the report? Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to commend Councillor Shoemaker on a very comprehensive report. I believe that whereas some of the other councillors have support from the staff, I think Councillor Shoemaker's probably writing that report herself, and you can tell that she's got a lot of passion and commitment for the region, and I share her concerns about water security now and into the future. I also like to flag the fact that BP Dam, like that, we almost ran out of water for Mergen and Wandai, so I mean that's one that needs to be considered as well. So, yep.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Right, all in favour of accepting the report? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 16.1, list of correspondence pending completion of assessment report. The officer's recommendation is that the list of correspondence pending completion of assessment report be received. That list of correspondence is shown there in the agenda. Right, do we have a mover for such? Thank you, Councillor Potter. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Jones. Anyone wish to speak to the motion? If not, all in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Delegated authority reports at 16.2. Officer's recommendation is that the delegated authority report be received. The attachments are included there. Do we have a move for such? Thank you, Councillor Froloff. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr Mayor?
Thank you.
It's not a question, but just councillors will have noticed that we've new financial year with a change of a couple of systems through General Manager O'May. We've actually now started to include the full planning report into the agenda for transparency and information. Previously was just a table. They've always been available for people to look at, but it is just little slight changes that go on in the background to continue to open up information out to the broader community.
Very good. Thank you, Mr CEO. Right, all those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Okay, now I think we are into the confidential section, so I'll move that we close the meeting and go into closed session. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Duff. All in favour, resolution. All repayments for debts will be placed on hold, and a payment plan to be negotiated to commence from 1 January 2021 with a view to clearing any outstanding amounts over a 2-year period. Do we have a mover for such? Thanks, Councillor Duff. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Froloff. Those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. 17.5 is a temporary rate exemption due to an inability to generate income due to COVID-19 assessment number 10489-00000-200. The officer's recommendation is that Council agree to provide a rate remission of $1,287.63 for assessment 10489-00000-200 for the period 1 July 2020 to 31 December 2020. Do we have a mover? Thank you.
Were you moving that or were you holding?
Oh, sorry, we're going to hold that one over, are we? Sorry, okay. Yep. So the motion is that we hold item 17.5. We adjourn such until the August.
Okay, yep, sure.
August meeting? Or are we going to delegate it?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, what I had made my notes of was that it'll be similar to the golf club. Council hold any debt payments pending a hardship application.
Right. Okay. Right, so that's the motion. Do we have a mover for that? Yep. Thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. Second, thanks, Councillor Froloff. Those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Item 17.6 is rate exemptions and remissions, additions to approved list.
And this one was the procedural resolution while we clarify the exact request.
So it's a procedural resolution I'll move a procedural resolution that we hold the matter over until such time as we clarify the information, the details of the request. Hold it over until the next meeting. The seconder for that. Thanks, Councillor Shoemaker. Those in favour? Resolution passed unanimously. Thank you all. Right, now I do believe, Mr. Seer, that concludes our ordinary meeting for the month of July 2020. Thank you all for your attendance and participation today, and wish you well.